Not a day goes by when there is not a report of a war crime being committed by Israel in Gaza. Hospitals, schools, shelters are being repeatedly bombed in the full knowledge of the civilian casualties that will result. Whole families have been wiped out, leading academics and doctors targeted. Civilians with no connection to Hamas are being rounded up and disappeared. Israel's blogosphere is not only full of people who defend this, but who rejoice in it. While the world was stunned and horrified by the footage of men from Beit Lahia stripped to their underwear, forced to sit on the street, one man rejoiced at these images. He was Aryeh Yitzhak King, the deputy mayor of Jerusalem, who wrote that arresting these men was too good for them. If it were up to me, he wrote, I would have dispatched bulldozers and buried them alive. Apart from being a politician openly inciting a war crime, King is a British citizen. He wrote to Boris Johnson in 2020 complaining about the UK voicing concerns over settlement construction. King is not the only Brit being used by Israel to justify its actions. There is Elon Levy from North London who has become spokesman for the Israeli government. Levy has consistently tried to downplay the lethality of Israel's bombing campaign. Levy used data proved later to be false, attempting to show that Israel was achieving less than 0.8 deaths per airstrike. That's what world-leading precision looks like, Levy tweeted. Peter Lerner, who moved to Israel from Kenton, North London, has become the face of the Israeli army. As a lieutenant colonel, he is the army's spokesman for the international media. Lerner dismissed the idea that the Israel Army's response was disproportionate. He said in an interview with LBC that proportionality was about military necessity, not about the number of civilians killed. There is Lieutenant Colonel Richard Hecht, the Scottish colonel, used as the voice of the Israeli army. Hecht promised in the earliest days of the war that the Israeli army would respond, in quotes, very, very severely, end quotes, to the Hamas attack. Sam Sank, an Israeli army reservist from Stanmore in North London, told The Times that judging from the number of his friends in the army, there were hundreds, if not thousands, more Britons fighting in Israel. Both the UK and Israel keep the numbers of British Jews fighting for the Israeli army a closely guarded secret. But the numbers involved are not the only question this government refuses to answer. It also refuses to say whether or not it's a criminal offence under British law for British citizens to travel to Israel or the occupied Palestinian territories to fight for the Israeli army or any other state or non-state actor. There is a simple reason for their silence. If they say it's not a criminal offence for a dual national citizen of Britain and Israel to fight in the Israeli army on the grounds that Israel is a state actor, how do they explain their explicit prohibition of Britons fighting in Ukraine? The Foreign Office advice on Ukraine states unequivocally, if you travel to Ukraine to fight or to assist others engaged in the war, your activities may amount to offences under UK legislation and you could be prosecuted on your return. No such qualms are being expressed about Israel. How so? There is a unit of the Metropolitan Police called the War Crimes Team, which has the responsibility to support the International Criminal Court. Any British dual national who is part of or represents an army that commits war crimes should be interrogated by this unit and the case referred to the Director of Public Prosecutions. But will this ever happen? The UK government under any Prime Minister will strain every sinew to stop it from happening. But each government which kicks this burning question under the carpet for another few years should be aware of what this loophole is doing to community relations here at home. Is it really right for a British Jew to fight for Israel and not for a British Muslim to join non-prescribed groups like Fatah to defend their villages or towns in the occupied West Bank? Is it right to take no action against Britons who justify war crimes while prosecuting Palestinians for hate speech? Israel is not only becoming the graveyard of a rules-based world order, it's very specifically becoming the graveyard of the rule of law here in Britain.